These are the contents of this video session. There are three major categories of relationship between two objects and two classes. They are link, association and dependency. So the concept of link and association has already been covered. In this session, we will be covering about dependency and its three different types. One is called as usage, abstraction and permission dependency. First, we will be getting into an introduction of what is dependency relationship. So this is a relationship between any two elements, naturally classes, where a change in one element, that is, we call it as a supplier, may affect or it will be supplying certain information to the other element. So for example, if there are two different classes which have dependency between either, then the change in one particular class will definitely supply or it will be altering the information which is present in the other element. So the changed element is called as supplier and the affecting element is called as a client. And the common type of dependency relationship is called as instantiate. So this is a type which we usually have between class and an object. There are four different types of dependency relationship. One is called as usage, abstraction, permission and last one is binding. So binding is a complex type of relationship which is not covered in our syllabus. That's why we will be discussing three categories. One is usage, abstraction and permission dependencies. This slide focuses on the details of each and every type of dependency. So usage means the client uses some of the services which is made available by the supplier to implement its own behavior. Abstraction is a type of dependency where we have more abstract set of client when compared to that of supplier. Meaning is that supplier will have the complete details but the client will have an abstraction of the supplier. The next one is called as permission. The meaning of this is the supplier is going to grant certain set of permission or certain access privileges for the client. So such type of dependency is called as permission. As I've already said you, binding is not our focus. We can leave this for later. This slide focuses on various categories of dependency between any two classes. So the dependency can arise between package to package or even classes to classes, and also between object to classes and even an operation of one class to another complete class. So this picture shows the examples of each and everything. So as this is going to focus on the class and object diagram, the package relationship is not depicted in this particular diagram. So for example, if you see, there is a class called as A and there is a class called as C. So between these two classes, I can share certain functions or even attributes. So such type of dependency is called as between any two classes. The next one is the relationship between object and a class. You can see there is an object of class A which is going to get communicated with the supplier class by means of instantiate relationship. So this is an object and this is a class. So the relationship between these two is called as instantiate. Now the fourth category of this example is operation and a class. So you can see there is an operation called as foo inside the class called as D. So which has a friend relationship. For example, it may pass attributes to some other class which is called as class A, or it may return certain values to class A. So such type of relationship is called as friend relationship. Now we will get into the first category of dependency which is called as usage dependency. There are multiple types of usage dependency. The first one is called as use. So this is a very common dependency between any two classes. This is usually depicted by means of a dashed dependency with an arrow mark with no stereotype. So you can see over here there are two classes. One is called as class A, other one is called as class B. So class A is going to use certain properties from class B. That's why class A is called as a client and class B is called as a supplier. And the name of this relationship is called as use. There may be situations like this where class A is going to use certain information from class B. It may be an operation of a class A which needs a parameter, that is an attribute, from class B. Another situation is an operation of a class A returns value to class B. And third situation may be an operation of class A uses an object which is present in class B. The second type of relationship, usage dependency, is called as call. So this is a particular type of dependency between any two operations. For example, class A may have an operation whose description is present in class B. So the client operation invokes the supplier operation. The third category is called as parameter. So this dependency is between an operation and a class. So the supplier is a parameter, or it may return a value of an operation to the client. The next category is called as send dependency. So as the name says, the client may send the supplier, for example, certain attributes value or functions return value may be supplied back to the supplier, or generally it may be a signal to some unspecified target where the supplier name is not actually mentioned. The last category of usage dependency is instantiate. As we have already discussed, this is a relationship between object and a class. So the client is an instance, that is an object of the supplier. So supplier may be a class and client can be an object. The next type of dependency is called as an abstraction dependency. Model dependency is between things that are at different level of abstraction, as we have already discussed. So this may be a dependency between a class which is present in analysis model to a class which is present in the design model. So we can say analysis model and design model are two different levels of abstractions, provided analysis will have only limited data but design model will have a complete set of data. So between these two models there can be a common class which is upgraded. So such relationship between the same representation of a class but a detailed version is called as an abstraction dependency. The first category of abstraction dependency is called as trace. This is mainly used to illustrate some general connection between the elements, where the element may be a supplier which is at different point in development to the client. So we used to develop the supplier class in different abstraction levels. So in each and every level, we used to connect the developed supplier component with that of the client. So such dependency between these two is called as trace dependency. The next one is called as refined dependency. So as the name says, the relationship between classes or elements are the same model but different versions. So assume there is a class of version 1 which is under limited development when compared to that of version 2. So version 2 is called as a refined version. Now the connection between these two versions is called as refined dependency. And the last category of abstraction dependency is called as derived dependency. So these two are between any two classes where a class is derived from another class. We can have some examples for this. Now consider there is a bank account class. So this class may contain a set of transactions where each transaction will have a quantity of money. There can be multiple set of transactions which holds the quantity of money in different instances. So current balance, if we need to compute the current balance, we are in need to sum the quantity over all the transactions. So it may be withdraw or deposit or 2 withdrawals and 2 deposits. In such a situation, all these 5 transactions quantity of money should be summed together to identify the current balance. So in order to deposit this particular scenario, there are multiple ways to show by using this abstraction dependency. We can see the 3 different ways in this slide. So you can see here there is a class called as bank account and a class called as transaction with a quantity of amount. So you can see for each and every transaction there is one quantity of amount. And also the bank account can have multiple transactions. So in order to achieve the balance amount of this quantity, we are in need of derived dependence. Meaning is that whenever we are in need to compute this balance amount, we are in need to get the values derived from the transaction for the corresponding bank account. The next representation is similar to the previous one, but instead of derived relationship, we can have the role name of this particular class by using a backslash symbol. So backslash is used to mention that the role of quantity is balanced in this particular diagram. So also it says that the balance is retrieved from the set of transactions for each particular bank account. And the third possible diagram is that we can even have the bank account balance which is computed by means of quantity class. So the quantity class is having a relationship with the transaction class where each and every transaction will have one quantity. From the particular quantity, the balance is computed and it is added in the bank account class. So these three are different ways of relationship of abstraction dependencies. The last category of dependency is called as permission dependency. Again here there are multiple types. First one is called as access dependency. So this is arised between any two packages. For example, access dependency allows the classes of one package to access the elements of another package. The next one is called as import, which we usually use in Java programs. So this is similar to that of access, but the idea here is that the entire class is said to be imported in the current package. So you no need to use something called as a dot operator. Because the entire class is imported, you can use all the functions and all the variables present in one class directly to the imported class. And the third category is called as friend dependency. So this is a type of dependency which is going to give you a controlled violation of encapsulation. Meaning is that if there are two different classes, one is called as a client and other one is called as a supplier, which have a friend relationship. Then in such a case, the client element will have a set of restricted access from the supplier. So not all the functions will be given access to the client. Only set of certain functions which are all limited are given permission to be accessed by the client. Such a thing is called as controlled violation. But remember students, not all the programming languages support this friend dependency. So by this we come to the end of this particular video session. The contents and the pictures are referred from the book cited here. Thank you for your patient listening.